Hello everyone, and welcome back to another 5-minute build showcase for Destiny 2. Today focusing on the Arc Titan with the new Lightfall changes. This build will be featuring the hard-hitting Thundercrash Super and the Cuirass of the Falling Star exotic to buff our damage even further, while also having an infinite ability loop with ionic traces and mods. So let's check out this electrifying build. Kicking off this build, we have the Thundercrash Super, allowing us to deal a high burst of damage to bosses and champions while traversing the map. This super ability will be buffed by our exotic chest armor, the Cuirass of the Falling Star, and its perk, Glorious Charge. This gives us 100% extra damage, while also granting us an overshield when coming out of our super for more survivability. Checking out the rest of the subclass, I'm running the Thruster class ability for its shorter cooldown and mobility, but barricades can also be a good choice depending on your playstyle. I'm also using the Thunderclap melee for its high damage and effectiveness against both groups and single targets, with the Pulse Grenade for our main ability. For our first aspect, I've chosen to go for Knockout, meaning that our melee attacks can be even deadlier, and defeating targets with our melee starts health regen and makes us amplified. Our second aspect is going to be the start of our Ionic Trace production for an infinite ability loop. Touch of Thunder grants our Pulse Grenades the ability to periodically create Ionic Traces when damaging targets, and this alone can almost fully restore our grenade or melee ability. To produce even more Ionic Traces, we have 4 fragments to choose from, the first of which being Spark of Magnitude to increase the duration of our Pulse Grenade, creating even more traces. I'm also using Spark of Shock to allow our Pulse Grenades to jolt targets, paired with Spark of Ions so that defeating jolted targets creates Ionic Traces, and all of this does stack with Touch of Thunder. The last fragment I'm running is Spark of Discharge, so that Arc Weapon Final Blows have a chance to create Ionic Traces, and I'm pairing this with the Delicate Tomb Exotic Fusion Rifle. This weapon already has a chance to make Ionic Traces, and when paired with this fragment, it ends up creating a trace every 2 to 3 enemies. This ends up activating the perk Tempest Cascade consistently, overcharging the weapon when picking up an Ionic Trace, causing it to jolt targets and then create even more traces. As you can see, this combination means that we create loads of Ionic Traces, which in turn gives us an infinite ability loop to clear rooms of low level adds. Now we just need to add some mods to make sure that these ability kills will generate enough super energy to defeat bosses and champions with our Thundercrash Super. The main way for us to do this is with 2 sets of Ashes to Assets, converting Grenade Final Blows into super energy, and we are also going to be producing loads of orbs from Arc Siphon and Firepower mods, restoring even more super energy. These orbs of power are also going to activate our Armor Charge mods for extra damage to weapons. I'm running 2 sets of Arc Weapon Surge for a 17% buff to weapon damage, and using this with the Delicate Tomb ends up being a really deadly combo. To make sure this buff is almost permanent, I've also equipped Charged Up and Time Dilation mods. For some mods that will give us even more ability regen, I'm using a Momentum Transfer mod for more melee energy, and a Bolster and Detonation mod for more class ability energy. On our class armor, I'm also running 2 Bomber mods for 15% grenade energy when using our Thruster ability, which is almost always up. The final mod I've decided to use is Recuperation, which restores 70 HP on Orb Power pickups. This mod helps give us a little bit more survivability, which is actually the only thing lacking from the current Arc builds. That being said, this build has been extremely fun to use, even post Lightfall, and it's one of my top picks for Titan when I don't feel like running the overused Heart of Endless Light exotic, while still being able to complete endgame content, or just for messing around in casual activities. As always, I'll leave a screenshot to mod placements right here, and I'll put a dim link in the description for you to check out. Of course, if you enjoyed this build showcase, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content every week, and I'll see you in the next one.